wound up. I don't understand how they doubt us. Said it wouldn't work, now what? Everybody chirp, now what?
Yo, what's going on, guys? What's going on, dweebs? And today I'm gonna be doing a reaction video to a video that is called Shocking Small Town Mysterious Everyone's Already Dead. But as far as I heard, these are real stories. Like, these are real. Without further ado, let's do it.
Today, we're going to cover two very strange but very true stories. But before we get into those stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place, because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So if that's of interest to you, please invite the like button to go skydiving with you, but replace their parachute with an anvil. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss.
Bro just said replace with an anvil. Okay. From the beginning of his video, when he just said, like, I know we just started, it's only 25 seconds, I get it, but it's like, bro, alright, let's get back to it.
Any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's stories.
And also, by the way, instead of pausing, I will try my best to talk through it, but not as much though, because I really want to watch this with you guys. So, you guys ready? Oh boy. Oh boy.
One afternoon in the spring of 1990, a young mother tidied up her family's living room in Pingyang Township, which is a small rural community made up of several villages in southern China. And she was almost done when she heard her 3-year-old twin daughters start to cry. And this really caught her off guard, because even though these kids were only 3 years old and 3-year-olds cry, well, her daughters basically never cried. They were like silent all the time. The girls' names were Shi Tsai and Shi Hongwu, and they'd been really easy babies because they were basically quiet all the time and just wanted to sleep. However, as they got older, their silence became more concerning. All they really wanted to do was just lay around and sleep and do nothing.
I mean,
even at 3 years old, they hadn't
true.
even said their first words yet. So when this mom heard these girls crying, she rushed down the hall to see what was going on. One, just obviously to make sure her kids were okay, but two, just out of curiosity. This is so uncharacteristic to be making any noise at all. And so the mom, she burst into the nursery and she saw her girls in their crib and they were sobbing hysterically, totally upset. And the mother rushed over and she scooped them up and asked, what's going on? Are you okay? But of course the girls didn't say anything because they didn't speak. They just continued to cry. But the mom, she kind of assessed her kids and couldn't see any injuries. They didn't seem sick. They were just upset about something, but she had no idea what it was. And so the mom just stood there comforting her girls until they calmed down, and then she put them back into the crib and they both went to sleep. And that was it. A couple of days later, and the twin girls were back to their normal routine, being totally silent and sleeping for most of the day. And as the girls slept in their nursery, their
Okay, I know I said I'm not gonna pause, but I just want to say that's actually kind of funny. They were crying, and then all of a sudden, things went perfectly normal. I just thought that was funny. But it's okay. So far, it's sad. I know. Okay, I didn't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. I just thought it was funny. I'm sorry.
mom just went around the house doing some housework, and at some point, she walked down the hallway past the girls' bedroom. Now, their door to the nursery was shut, and again, they're just sleeping and being totally quiet. The mom hasn't heard them at all day. And as she's walking down the hallway, she suddenly comes to an abrupt stop right outside the nursery door, because distinctly, she can hear her girls making noise in their room. But they're making a noise that just doesn't make any sense to the mother. Her daughters were not crying or fussing or anything like that. They were talking. At first, the mother wanted to rush in there and experience this firsthand, this landmark moment of her girls speaking for the first time. But she also worried if she went in there, they might go silent and she'd ruin the moment. And so instead, she just pressed her ear to the door and just listened. And as she listened, she really couldn't believe what she was hearing. Because these girls weren't just babbling, saying random words. These girls were having like a full-blown conversation with each other, like adult-level sentences being spoken back and forth. These girls who apparently, at least according to the mother, couldn't even speak. Like, how is this even happening? However, the more the mother listened to her daughters, the more unsettled she became. Not only because, she's listening to her daughters speak for the first time at like an adult level, which is totally bizarre, but the content of this discussion her 3-year-old daughters are having made no sense.
How does that work? Like, how in the world can like someone that young of an age, right, have a conversation like an adult would, right? Like, it just doesn't add up. I'm not saying, oh, I don't get it, it makes no sense, I don't get it, it makes no sense. No, like, I understand what he's talking about, but it's weird for a person that young of an age to have a conversation with the same person as a young person's age. Like, they were crying in the beginning, right? And later on, peace and quiet was like. And later on, the mother heard noises from the same room as the kids were having a like weird like crying, right? And later on, the mother heard these two having a conversation, like full on people talk, like how I'm right now, right? Okay, so let's say since you guys are watching, okay, it feels like we're having a conversation, right? But what I'm saying is like, how? That's a mystery. That's like some Harry Potter stuff.
These girls were talking about stuff that they could not possibly know. The girls were talking in detail about people and events from a totally different village. A village their mother knew they had never been to, had never even heard of, and certainly didn't know anybody who lived there. Now, in basically every other part of the world, if a mother suddenly heard her 3-year-old twins, who had never said a word before, suddenly having adult-level conversations with each other about people and places that they can't possibly know about, that might be enough to spurn that mother to at least call their doctor. But this mom, well, she lived in Pingyang Township, and that meant, when she heard what her daughters were saying, as alarming as it was, she actually did know what was going on. Pingyang Township has a very strange secret, and that secret is that of the approximately 7,000 residents who live there, over 100 claim to be the reincarnated spirits of people who have died traumatic deaths. And this is not just some wacky thing these people are saying. No, in Pingyang Township, it's not just those 100 people who believe they really are reincarnated. It's the whole community. All 7,000 some odd people 100% believe that these people truly are reincarnated. And so how that plays out is that periodically the reincarnated folks will go to a non-reincarnated person in the township and will claim things like, hey, in my past life, your family owed me a debt, and so now you're going to pay it out. And these non-reincarnated people will absolutely pay that debt. Or in other cases, there have been fights, physical altercations that have come from a reincarnated person approaching a...
Wait, so are we dodging the fact? Are we dodging the statement of the two girls from the bedroom that were like crying, later on having a conversation? Are we dodging a bull, like moving on from that, or are we moving on to a new topic? Like, if you guys could, okay, if you guys, I know you guys are watching, I know that, but can you guys answer this question in the comments, like real serious, okay? Are we dodging the statement where you're talking about the two young girls were crying, blah blah blah, then they have a conversation back and forth and stuff, or is he moving on to a new statement and talk about something? Like, are we still talking about the kids, or are we moving on to a new topic? Let me know in the comments below, and please answer this question. I need an answer, because I'm just curious, Sorry for the interruption. I want to ask that.
A non-reincarnated person and basically saying, in a previous life, you or your family or your relatives insulted me in some capacity, my previous self, and we're going to fight about it right now. And those fights take place in this town, and it's totally normal. But the interactions between the reincarnated and non-reincarnated people in this township, it's not just about conflict. In fact, there's been lots of decisions made in this township that are designed very specifically to avoid conflict between the reincarnated and non-reincarnated. For example, there was a little boy who claimed to be the reincarnated spirit of a pig who was butchered in town, and the butcher, who this boy said butchered him when he was a pig, well, the butcher, to make sure he was not offending the...
Wait. Hold on. Pause. So you're telling me a little boy was reincarnated as a pig?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on.
2,000 years later.
What is the logic behind that? How the fuck could you get I can't talk. Reincarnated as a pig. How does that work? I'm confused, but I'm so interested in this video.
Alrighty, let's get back to it, then you know what I'm saying.
This boy, or potentially other people who were, the reincarnated spirits of other animals he had slaughtered. The butcher shut down his business just to be like, I don't want to offend you all. I'll find something else to do with my life. And so when this mother heard the sound of her twin girls who had never spoke before, suddenly having this detailed conversation about people and events from this other village, as jarring and shocking as that was for her, because she lives in Pyongyang, she instantly understood that the only way my girls could have that information and be able to have this conversation is if they are reincarnated spirits. And so this mother did what...
Okay, that answered my question. That completely answered my question. I did not know that. But honestly, that's crazy. Crazy! I did not know that. Wow. I'm actually... I am not brain rot. I'm kind of shocked. And speechless at the same time.
She thought was right, which was not to call a doctor, but instead to get the word out to the people not just in her village, but across the Pyongyang township that her twin daughters are actually reincarnated spirits. The mother's hope was that perhaps there was still family of these reincarnated spirits in this other village her daughters were referencing in their conversation that would find out about this, and maybe they'd want to come here and meet their family who now live inside of her daughters. And sure enough, less than a week after this mother got the word out, this man and woman who she didn't know came knocking at her door. When the mother let them inside the house, her girls immediately recognized them. One of the twins said that this was her mother and father from her previous life. Then the twins, these little 3-year-old girls, went on to tell this unbelievably complicated and sophisticated story about how in their previous life, these twin girls were not actually sisters. Instead, they were best friends, and together they had taken their own lives approximately 1 month before they were reborn in the bodies of these twin girls. And so after that, the twins just continued talking to this man and woman for quite some time, giving specific details about this village that, again, these girls, at least according to their mother, had never been to before. These girls also gave intimate details about these teenage girls' lives and even had information that was very specific to what happened to them when they took their lives and, where their bodies were found. Again, information these girls shouldn't have. And then at some point, the mother of the twins asked this man and woman, are these details they're giving you accurate? Is this true?
Boring!
And the man and woman said, yep, it's all true. And then at some point, the twins turned to their biological mother and they told her that the reason they had been silent to this point was because they were trying to keep their reincarnation a secret. And also, the reason they slept all the time is because when they slept, they would dream about their previous lives which they claim to miss. To this day, no one's ever been able to offer a better explanation for how these twin girls, these toddlers, had such accurate information about people they had never met and places they'd never been to. Basically, the only explanation that works is that they must actually be the reincarnated spirits of those teenage girls. Pingyang Township.
I'm just gonna point this out. That sounds like some Scooby-Doo. I swear to God. That's crazy. But like, it's a mystery. But the fact that this is a true story that actually happened, I don't know what to say. I don't know. Are you guys enjoying this? I want to check in with you guys. Are you guys enjoying it? Are you guys enjoying this? Just want to check in. You know?
Remains a hotspot of alleged reincarnations, and nobody knows why. As many of you may already know, we launched the Mr. Ballin podcast 3 years ago on Valentine's Day 2022. Now, it was totally unintentional to launch the show on Valentine's Day, but after doing that, we decided to kind of make it an annual event that every Valentine's Day, we not only celebrate our love for our partners and families and friends, but also our love for the strange, dark, and mysterious. And so to celebrate this year's Valentine's Day, you see what we did there? We are gonna host our very first live show of the year, and it will be totally free right here on YouTube. All you have to do is click the link in the description, and that will bring you right on over to the scheduled live show so that you can set a reminder and get a front row seat. Valentine's Day is on Friday, February 14th, and the live show starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. Again, it's gonna happen right here on YouTube for free, so go ahead and click that link and enjoy the show.
Okay, we're gonna take a pause here, okay? I need to do a part 2 of this. Okay, anyway. Based on what we learned, I'm not gonna talk through this, okay? I'm shocked, speechless, but he did say it's a hotspot. Now, here's a question I'm just curious. Has any paranormal investigator, like how they ever investigated in China, where this location is, right? Where they are, what he just said, right? Has any paranormal or any type of crew do some investigation or investigate the area and find some answers? If there is, that'd be cool. But if it's a no, like there's no answers, then I don't know. Anyway, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new. I'm going to be doing part 2 of this video. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. Because I'm going to do more reaction videos, like soon or whenever. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'm out. You dweeb!
Tell me what's been on your mind. You tried to reach right after me, but I don't talk to you. I tried to hold this shit together from the start. Half-ass shit,